to Beethoven. In fact, it was after Beethoven's death that Schubert completed his groundbreaking Ninth Symphony, the Great. Perhaps Schubert finally felt freed from the pressure that Beethoven's symphonies placed upon every composer's shoulders. Because of this overshadowing, very little of Schubert's work was published in his lifetime. It wasn't until the late 1800s that Breitkopf and Hertel published critical editions of his works, edited by Brahms no less. Another reason why he might not have the universal acclaim of Beethoven is perhaps because of the sheer length of many of his works. Schubert often composes on a different scale, taking much more time, allowing himself to draw things out slowly. This is not due to lack of craft, but because he uses different kinds of processes and tools. As the pianist Alfred Brendel said, "In Beethoven's music we never lose our bearings. We always know where we are." Schubert, on the other hand, puts us into a dream. Beethoven composes like an architect, Schubert like a sleepwalker. But a major reason, I think, is that much of his best music was written not for the concert hall, but for the home. His chamber music, piano music, and song cycles were written to be performed at homes for intimate, small audiences. As I speak these words, musicians all around the world are being asked to stay at home. And while for some of us this may feel like imprisonment, many of us may slowly discover a new reconciliation with the idea of home. Home not only as the place where we live, but the people we live with, our family, our neighbors, our community, and also the way in which we live, our routines, habits, rituals, and the ways in which we make ourselves feel at home. It was Roger Scruton who said, "Schubert is the poet of home and the loss of home." And as we recapture a sense of what it means to be truly at home, we might have a stronger understanding of Schubert's music and what it's trying to say to us. And we might also rediscover the joy of playing music alone or in the company of a small pocket of loved ones. Schubert's music teetered on the edge between the classical and the romantic. He would seemingly master the forms laid out by Mozart, Haydn, and Bach, and yet also explore new regions of harmony and tonal relationships, new styles of writing which would pave the way for later romantic composers. We might love him for his melody, the melodiousness of his final B-flat piano sonata, or the timeless melody of Du bist die Ruhe, or for his sense of capturing inward, intimate expression which feels honest and free of sentimentality, or for his probing into the depths, the apparent fascination with the shadow of death in his late works. There are too many different shades of Schubert to count, or to cover in a book, let alone a video. So I want to focus on one piece of music, a song he wrote when he was just 17 years old, Gretchen am Spinnrad, or Gretchen and the Spinning Wheel. Written around a year before his more famous song El König, it might be Schubert's first masterpiece. It may be no small stretch to say that this song changed the way that composers thought about songwriting. The subject of the song comes from Goethe's Faust, a story where Faust sells his soul to the devil in exchange for a great life. A girl comes with that life, Gretchen, and there's a point where Gretchen is alone in her room spinning yarn, and she starts to freak out about her relationship with Faust. This scene, her in her room with a spinning wheel, worrying about her relationship, is what Schubert sets to music. The text shows the psychological torment that she's going through, with stanzas like, "My peace is gone, my heart is heavy, I shall never ever find peace again," or "My poor head is crazed, my poor mind shattered." So this song starts in D minor, and we actually hear the spinning wheel and the piano, the spinning in the right hand, and the click-clacking of pedals in the left hand. Then she sings, "My peace is gone, my heart heavy." The music immediately begins to spin itself through different keys, reflecting her restless anxiety. There's a middle section where she remembers his proud bearing, his noble form, the smile on his lips, and the power of his eyes, and the attention turns away from her and onto him. The spinning wheel stops, or at least the foot pedals stop, as she begins to think of him. The music builds in this accelerated excitement as she remembers him. Until the almost primal cry of, "Ah, his kiss!" And she remembers her seducer's heart-stopping gesture of a kiss. Then, after a pause, this restarts. Only now it's incomplete. The wheel isn't fully turning yet. Slowly, bit by bit, the wheel begins to spin back into motion, and we are back into Gretchen's introspection. But now everything has changed, and this isn't a simple recapitulation of the first section. She starts building in excitement again. She sings, "My bosom yearns for him. Ah, if I could clasp, if I could hold him." And if you thought that the memory of the kiss was a climax, well, there's another one coming, where she now wishes that finally she could perish in his.